That's good, Andy. I think so. Close, once you close the door, it should.
I'm just gonna, I don't know if you keep that.
Yeah, that shows everyone. Right.
Is that audio? From what you can tell.
Angela just texted you, so we do. She said you guys got it.
Okay. All right. We'll call to order 7:01 p.m. Let's take a roll call. First, I'll acknowledge that Angela Edwards, our DDA director, unfortunately is out ill. So after that, if we could get a roll call.
Mr. Booth, present.
Present.
Holly Miller present.
Andy Rose present.
Melissa Schneider, present.
Tricia Feldman, present.
Thank you. Additions or deletions to the agenda. We had to add the bill for 536 for the Village Shirt Company for the 5K beanies. That makes now the total of bills payable $25,652.57. Which I don't know. I think she may have just recorded that on mine. Correct? It's not on yours, right? No.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, she only made notes on yours. Yeah.
Okay. Then if you go to Heritage Festival expenses, that'll change the 5K beanies from $666.65 to $536, just for everybody's aware. So that was the only additions or deletions to the agenda that I had. Communications, there was 2 ads. There's a letter to the village manager that I wrote, and then there's an email from a citizen, TJ, right?
JT.
JT, regarding the Heritage Festival. Do we need to comment on any of that or no? Just for everybody to read. We'll talk about it later when it comes to Heritage Festival. Any public comments? No public. All right. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oops, sorry. Opposed? That passes. Approval of minutes from the September 6, 2023 meeting. We're going to, also July 26 minutes are included with corrections. So we'll have to do the first one, September 6, and then do the July 26 with the corrections.
There were 2 things on the minutes that I saw from September 6th that might need to be corrected.
Hey, what is that?
For the bills payable, the $1,000, is that usually paid by the Village of Almont, or is that Almont Township?
Village.
Okay, so that would be the Village. And then the only other thing that I saw was when we made the motion to remove the trees, also there should be put something in there that we are going to be going out to bid for that as well.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yep. Other than that, that's all I had.
Any other updates to the minutes? If there's no updates, we'll just need a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections for next meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the September 6, 2023 meeting minutes with Melissa's corrections.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that one's all set. July 26th, those meetings are also included. Can someone just make a motion to accept and make sure that met what we were looking to change?
The only change was to your last name.
Oh, all right. I'm no longer Roost. That's nice to know.
No Roost.
I will make a motion to approve the July 26 meeting minute correction.
All right,
Second.
Krista. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, let's get on to the long list of bills payable. There's quite a few items there. If anybody has any questions about them, again, noting that change, adding the 536 totals $25,652.57.
I will make the motion to approve the bills payable in the amount of $25,652.57.
I'll second.
I am abstaining.
Oh, because you're on a bill. Yes.
Oh, do I have to abstain then too? Because I'm being reimbursed?
I don't think so on that regard,
Okay.
because you're not a supplier.
Right, yeah.
Right,
I'm
we're just reimbursing,
right.
so no.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so you made the second?
Yeah.
First, second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Pay the bills. All right. Now, August revenue and expenditure report. We're going to need a motion on that. And my understanding, all that is still going smooth as smooth.
It's smoother than smooth.
We like smooth.
Kim is the bomb. It's too noisy. Any questions?
Mine is a little bit blurry, but did we only pay out $7,000 in facade grant expenses so far? Why does it seem low?
So this is as of August
Okay.
31st, and I would bet those other ones
That's
probably
a
didn't
win-
get cut till
okay, then that's
September.
fine. Okay.
Yes, because
Yes.
yeah, right, Good Grounds alone was 10.
Correct.
And so was Maria's. So
Okay.
Yeah, this is August 31st.
All right, then I will motion to approve the revenue and expenditure report for August.
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Approved. August check disbursements. All right.
I'll second the August check disbursement.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Opposed? All right. That one's passed. All right. So director's report, Angela's not here. It is listed in here. I probably can't do her report justice because she has been running around like a crazy lady for good reason. So, the biggest thing that she wanted me to touch upon was some further stuff that's coming with Holiday Parade. But we'll talk about that there. But just read through it. Any questions, she's always available to talk through it. But I know in the many conversations I've had with her, she has been all over the place doing a lot of great things.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has any questions, I'll help answer. If not, we'll just move forward. Pretty good. Let's move DPW report. Any questions on that? And again, Brian and his crew have been, again, super helpful with everything we did with Heritage Festival. So, and I feel like we're getting very good itemized list of everything they're doing, which is helpful.
Good to see.
Else, or we can move forward.
I do have one question about that. DPW, they are going to be, were they the ones that were going to do the filling in the parking, our parking lot where the beer tent was. Do we have any idea when they might be doing that?
Nope, but we can definitely reach out, because
Okay.
yes, I do know that they were going to do that for us,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
We'll have Angela follow up with Brian, or one of us can tomorrow, honestly. I don't think I have his number, but whatever.
I do.
Okay,
If she's sick, I'll
okay.
get hold of him. I'll find out.
Okay.
All right. Good question, though. If we're good, let's go on to new business, finance. Number one, facade grant application, Toth Properties 117 Main, that's going to be in there. It's in the packet. The total amount to be requested is $2,000.
And this is Chickies building, if you're not familiar.
This is for Chickies?
This is
Yes.
Chickies, yeah.
Okay.
They did a bunch of brickwork a couple months ago, probably now.
Because it says GLLT, which would be Great Lakes Legal Team.
Yeah, I think that's the business
Just their
name.
contact information?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the parent.
Yeah,
for
but the
all those.
117 is Chickies.
Okay. I guess as long as there wasn't any, we don't have any, they're within their time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the finance committee obviously looked it over and it dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's, correct? Okay.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve their facade grant application in the amount of $2,000.
Second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Let's get them their money. Number two, repair of fountain and dumpster corral. 3 companies have submitted quotes for the masonry repairs needed for both the fountain and dumpster corral. So what we need to do is hire a mason. Where did I go? I see it when it comes over, and it's different when it's printed front and back, so bear with me.
Right.
I don't have those in my packet.
No. So I can talk through them while Andy's looking.
Thank
So
you.
the first one is from Smathers Services, and they're out of Dryden. There's the total. I was like, I can't find the total page. Their total is $5,600. We have a quote from Integrity Masonry, and I think it says they're from Emily City. Their total is $4,750. And then we have a quote from Orlando's Masonry, and they're out of Alma, and their total is $5,350. I think they are all comparable quotes from what I can understand with my limited knowledge of brickwork. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I don't know if you looked at them before, Andy. If you have anything you can add to that,
I did.
because I don't know a whole lot.
That's
about
what I was trying to find here with these. They are definitely a lot more detailed than we had before,
Yes,
which is what we
they're
asked
much
for.
better
And they're
quotes.
broken down between, if you take a look at it, they're now broken down between the dumpster corral and the fountain. So now we know exactly what we're paying for each one. The Smathers Services is obviously the most detailed as far as for what they're doing per line item. A lot of it just depends on, without knowing them, which direction to go. Now, I can tell you, I did not know he bid on this. This gentleman is from our 4-H group, really nice guy. From what I don't know his work personally, but people have talked about it. He's done a great job. So
Which is this
Smathers. So that's the little I know about that. But have I seen the work? No. But his was the most detailed, next to Integrity. I don't know if we've used Integrity before, but I know like Orlando, we had to go out and get more information from, which Smathers, I don't think so. This is the first time I
This
think
is
we're
the
seeing
first quote
right.
we've gotten
So the
from
first
Smathers
quote came
now.
out
Yeah.
very detailed, which was nice. Where the other ones we needed more information.
My only concern was with the Orlando's, the amount of time it took them to get back to us. I don't know, that's concerning if it, just to get that information, it took them quite a while to get back to us a little bit more detail. I don't know if they're busy at this time or they just don't have employees, or maybe it slipped through the cracks, but I would think that it wouldn't normally take that long for somebody to get back with the information that we were requesting.
Especially if you want to work. From the finance side, did you have any more thoughts one way or the other?
Again, I have never had brickwork done. I've never dealt with any of these companies. Right? Does my heart say take the cheapest quote? Yep. I mean, my brain really. But that's not always the answer either.
Right.
I don't know. I like the detail I see with Smathers and the professionalism just in their quote. But it's also the most expensive. So. So actually,
I was going to throw something out here. Oh,
so
go
was
ahead. And maybe it's the same.
If you look at Smathers at the fountain work, he is actually doing more than Orlando's. They're both tuck point, necessary joints, but Smathers has replaced damaged brick. I guess Orlando's does too. It says patch broken brick. But they are also caulking the top sill joints, which I know needs to happen, and Orlando's does not have that on their quote. So I think that makes a difference there on what's actually getting done. Now let me look at the other one closer.
So that was my other thing I was going to say. So this just says, Integrity says repair brick. The other one says, so this one says tear down and rebuild for Orlando. So Integrity just says repair. Orlando says tear down and rebuild. And then Smathers says remove and then rebuild. So this one, it looks like the reason why Smathers is more is it actually is removing the old and putting in new. Does not look that way with Integrity. It looks like they're just repairing. At least that's how it's listed.
Yeah,
Repair
and-
cracked and repair. It says repair, not replace at the top.
And Smathers is caulking the joints and filling the broken block. So, yeah. I think Smathers is offering more work also,
Here's that way.
which I think is what is needed to in this situation, so we're not fixing it again in a couple of years.
Especially if they're filling as well. It's a difference by, what, $400, I think.
Yeah, it's not much. It's $250 more.
Oh, $250 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
So if somebody has more questions or thoughts, or looking at the time frame before weather hits, it's something we're going to have to get done
Right.
sooner than later.
Who knows if we can even get on someone's books for this year yet, but we need to get on someone's books for either this year or first thing in the spring.
Correct.
That's our worst case.
Correct.
So Smathers they would prefer that the fountain be inspected. Is that something that we can schedule?
It's been inspected recently because we just had something fixed. So I would
Okay.
have Angela check with them that that's sufficient, but someone was just out to service the fountain.
Yeah, and once they shut it down, they inspect it again.
Yep. And
So-
when they open it back up in the spring, if that's when it's going to be, they inspect it again.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to be an extra cost for us. Or
Yeah,
issue.
no.
So,
Myron does it minimally twice.
Yeah.
Open and close every year.
I will make a motion to hire Smathers Services to repair the fountain and the dumpster corral.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll let Angela know to reach out to Mr. Smathers.
Take this.
I flipped
'cause
too
it's
many
me
papers to
anyways.
get to it. Yeah, go ahead. 'cause I flipped
So
too many
snowflakes for the light poles. Me, Angela, and Krista sat down. Was that just earlier this week? It was. Feels like 2 weeks ago. And looked at snowflakes for the light poles because ours are beat up They're not LED, so they won't match the new lights we have on the light poles anyway. And what we found was nauseating. The price of snowflakes to put on light poles is out of this world. The cheapest ones were like $450 each, and we need 16. That's what we currently have. We had the great idea after we pored over books and the internet for over an hour. What if we called Legacy to see if they could build us stars and we could then light them with LED rope lighting? We thought that was a great idea. Legacy did finally get back to us today and said that they would love to make us snowflakes. So we don't have a price on that yet. But I'm sure it's not at $450 a snowflake. Andy and I both at the same time had the great idea Monday when we had our other meeting that what if we took our existing snowflakes, stripped them, had them powder coated or sprayed or something, and then lit them. Well, Angela just found out today that Brian says that our old snowflakes, which is part of why we need to replace them, they're too heavy for our new light poles. So that's a no-go. So we were originally presenting you guys with these two options. We found that were somewhat on the cheaper side. They go upwards of $1,000 though for, more attractive ones. But my suggestion would be to just wait and let us get a price from Legacy. Plus lead time on these is we'd have to order them like tomorrow basically to get one of these. So I would suggest that we just put a pin in this and wait to hear back from Legacy and see what all that entails.
And just to correct that, they are LED lights that are in there now, but they're screw in. And the issue is it's the old wiring. If one goes out, they all go out. So yes, so
Thank you.
just update because if I remember correctly, a few years ago we paid to put LED bulbs in there. But yeah, if one goes out, they all go out. It's old. It's the old strand. So yeah, originally we talked about I was going to take them home, rip all the lights off, get them done. But yeah. So that's your recommendation. Wait, get the quote from Legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see where we're at with that. And then we can have a,
Spend on.
right, we were all severely disturbed by the amount of money we would have to spend to buy new snowflakes. Like, that is outrageous. And then we figured we could have a snowflake lighting party, all of us, and put them together, whoever wanted to help.
Yeah,
And Andy volunteered his son already, so.
yeah, we would have to zip tie them on there, but I don't think that would be, once they get them built, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
No.
Yeah. And it is, the metal that's on there is very thick now that they came back.
I drove over one and it didn't even break.
Didn't even
so.
move.
Yeah, I lifted it up for Angela to take the picture and it was very heavy.
Was
Yeah. So, all right. If everybody's good with that, let's just move forward. All right, cool. All right. So let's go into discussion. Heritage Festival. Anybody want to start talking about Heritage Festival? Anybody?
Do you want me to talk through the money or?
Yeah, let's start with the good, the finances.
Okay, so we made more money than we have previously. Hooray! Our total profit was about $8,600 on everything. We spent more than we've ever spent, obviously, but we also made more than we've ever made in total. I would like to point out, well, a lot of things, truthfully. Well, also that profit is going to decrease. Let me start with the 5K since that was my baby. We have a profit of about $910. Your spreadsheets are wrong. Andy and I were talking about that before you guys came. So you can update that if you want to. But that wasn't a moneymaker. That was a donation. So do I have to have a motion? Do I have to ask a motion?
yeah.
Okay. So the point of that was to raise money for the fire department. I would like to ask the board to make that an even $1,000 to donate to the fire department. If the board would do that.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
increase it to $1,000.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. $1,000. Make that note. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
So you have all the numbers. Obviously, the most expensive part of the entire festival is the beer tent. It cost us about $18,000 for the beer tent and everything we did inside of it. That's sound production, that's both the bands, that's the tent itself, the koozies, the stage, all the things. So, and that does not count our electricity because that was donated by RCI. that huge generator that they ran for 2 nights. I don't even think they charged us gas, right? No. So, I mean, yeah.
So let me add to that too. So if you take in what we have in expenses versus what we got in sponsorship for the next page, 2,000 of the sponsorship listed actually was for the car show. That was RCI. So sponsorship was 12,950, depending on how we allocate it. So technically, the beer tent lost $853.76 to put on the beer tent. Now, thankfully, the idea of charging a cover bailed that out to the tune of
45.75.
So if we didn't have that $5 cover, we would have been in the hole $4,575 more. Right. So thank you for that idea. I think there's a collaborative effort, but that bailed that out. So to me, that's huge. If not, that would have been backwards. Go ahead to the next part.
Car show, our expenses were about $1,450. The Best in Class awards were donated. The drone footage was donated as well. Thank you to those folks. That's appreciated. And then we're over here, 4160. I wish these were added together. I didn't really see them weren't. So in 2000, you said was RCI?
Mm-hmm. I can give you what the total was.
Give me the total.
Yeah. So the car show net expenses generated $9,740.88 of profit.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll have a lot of thoughts on things we can do even better with the car show next year and to capture all of the revenue that we missed. Because a lot of people weren't registered, but I think we have good ideas on that. I don't know if we want to discuss that tonight or at the
We'll talk
volunteer
about the
wrap up.
meeting.
Yeah.
But we had roughly about 75 cars that showed up and they displayed. They weren't registered, which means they couldn't win a prize and they couldn't be part of it. But because of the amount of volume of cars that came in and timing, we just basically had to stop taking registrations.
Right. And there was no way this year to police whether or not people actually registered. So
Correct.
we have thoughts on that for next year though.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Go ahead.
Festival total signage we spent, I won't even sugarcoat it, we spent a boatload on signs this year, but we got all new signs this year and way more signs. And we had to add local traffic only signs, all of the business open signs. I think we had 8 of those big, I think they're 24 by 36, so they're 2 foot by 3 foot signs with all the businesses open that we put everywhere. So we did spend a boatload on signs that we shouldn't have to spend next year. We will still have to get some new things. We do want to get more parking signs for next year and stuff like that, but not nearly to the tune of what we spent this year. So I think you owe us a bill for the shirts, correct?
Volunteer shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure you give us that so we can pay you.
Yeah. I was, waiting for the store to close for we ran the store again.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's fine. Just get it over.
So I don't know what number we call what that goes into. Did you put that into something specific for revenue?
You talking about which one? For the shirts?
No, she has festival. She's calling it here.
Yeah, no, I didn't separate that out. I
Okay.
kind of wanted to see just what, the
Right,
car show
what each thing
came
means.
to. The car
Right.
show, like I said, was about $9,700 with revenue.
Right.
If you break that out, the other part is just more of the overall day. And I think as we look at revenue versus expenses, we can kind of put that in there. I mean, technically, that could have fallen into the car show because it was going on at the same time.
Right, and that's what it's
So-
all.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that would
Right.
drive down the car show revenue by about $2,000. So
Right.
still $7,000 worth of profit.
On Angela called it the kids total. We had, and these are things that we pay for out of pocket. We had face paint and glitter tattoos, a balloon artist, a photo booth, and a bounce house that we paid for that came to a little over $2,000. And then we already talked about the 5K.
Yeah. And the one thing I do want to point out is the golf cart raffle. The golf cart raffle was a total profit of $6,210. I mean, that was huge. We did cut it short at 800 and some tickets to
Yeah.
let it go.
Just at 8.
But I think it's the best PR we ever did because she was ecstatic. It was on Facebook. I think their kids took it to homecoming. I saw
Yeah.
some pictures floating
Homecoming
around with
pictures,
that.
it was cute.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's huge. So really, if it wasn't for the golf cart and it wasn't for the $5 cover, the event would have lost money. We made $8,600. So, that was extra effort on people's parts, but it definitely paid off. So we'll definitely be doing that again next year.
Sooner.
And
Yes.
sooner.
Yep. A lot of things will happen sooner. The 5K will happen sooner. And we probably will, I don't think I want this on record that I said this, but we are going to add a 1 mile fun run and probably a 10K because a lot of people asked for it. So
Yeah.
It will get bigger too.
So with that one, do you have anything else you want to go over with it?
Do we want to go over just what the revenues were in general?
You can. I mean, it's up to you. Go ahead.
So sponsorships were just under 15,000. We had specific award sponsors for the car show, which was $1,000, and that's not including $150 in gift cards that we received also to give to winners. Beer tent entry was $45.75. Golf cart raffle was $62.10. The 50/50 was $682. The 5K was $910. Raffle baskets, and I called it junk sale, was $1,549. Car show entry day of $4,160. Pre-registration was $1,680, and the vendor booth rental was $800. So that's how it all breaks down.
I have a question about the beer tent. And how much, do we know how much we spent last year on beer tent or like?
Yeah, I
in
have it. Hold,
comparison?
please. I brought it just for that reason, but give me 1 second to find it because it's a little all over the place. Expenses. So just the tent itself.
How much the beer tent overall cost us, that whole area, the like comparison to the
Right,
18 grand.
Here,
Yeah.
write it down, Andy. $34.91 is the tent. $3,000 is a band. $800 is a band.
John's.
Is that in there?
It should be.
Where are they? $12.75.
Okay.
$340 for RCI.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all I see specific to the beer tent.
So a lot more than what we did.
We spent a lot more
More
this year.
this year.
We had higher quality bands. We had 2 higher sound production for those bands this year.
Yeah.
And the tent itself was more expensive this year as well. I think so. They all say beer tent next to them. Did I just flip the page the wrong way? Oh, no, right there.
Yeah, it was only about 9,000.
Double, that's.
Let's see here. Yeah, close to 9,000. It was 8906 by the number she gave me. Yeah.
Maybe we're looking into how do we cut those costs next year? I don't know. I mean, we were talking about the sound production and maybe changing that or whatever it might be, but even that is still cost of stuff goes up and wanting to make sure that we're attracting the right people. So paying those prices for bands, but $18,000 is a lot of money. It's,
Right.
It
The
is.
tent itself alone was almost $2,500 more.
Yeah.
And again, some of that was having to do with, again, where we originally had it planned.
Yeah.
We had to make some adjustments at the
Yeah.
last minute, right?
Mhm.
So that caused expenses to go up. Thankfully, we were originally pulling power off the street. RCI did not charge us to use the generator.
I mean,
So,
with the cover, we're getting that, we're trying to make up for some of that, but if we're not charging, let's say we have the Lions Club or whoever do it again, maybe we look at getting some of the revenue from their sales to make up for whatever, or they use certain part of their sales to go towards paying something, because we want it to be successful and continue, and not for us to cut costs, but look at what other people can contribute, because like you said, if we wouldn't have charges covered, and we didn't even really make money on this beer tent.
no, we lost.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, ultimately with that is we're going to have to go and, again, the promise was they were going to do our fundraising for us. That didn't happen. The promise was they were going to collect our $5 cover. That didn't happen the first night. So I think we got to go back to the drawing board and get really realistic with it. We're not here to work to fund the Lions Club. I do think there's value with them, but I've said that before. We're not here to fund you guys. So, one of the thoughts we had spitballed was, obviously we knew we can generate $4,500. They pay us $4,500 next year to be part of it, and they can sell as many koozies as they want, right? To help recover their costs. So then we're not out. The other thing that I look at is in my mind goes to disaster recovery, right? The what bad could happen. And thankfully we've had nothing but great weather, knock on wood. We're going to get a day where it's not going to be in our favor, right? So if that happens, we're holding the bag on everything. And is that fair to us? I don't feel it is, right? So we're going to have to really get sharper with the pencil and really figure this. I mean, the DDA's goal is to bring revenue to downtown and people to downtown, but that's as the greater whole,
Right.
not just one organization.
Exactly.
So, so I think we're gonna work through that this year. You bring up a good point. I'm committed to it.
Yes.
You know.
I want to have a conversation with the Lions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the thankfully this year we were able to really at the last second move that tent to your guys' parking lot. And I know it was an inconvenience, sorry, but Steve did let us do it. If and when that building changes hands, there's no guarantee that's going to be there. Right. So, and if the church is going to fight us on being within 500 feet, we're already working towards social districting. Looking at the law in social districting, what I read is we could put it in our DDA parking lot behind those businesses next year. So that will help circumvent all of our problems. But once we do that, the businesses will be running the beer tent. That's the way it has to go, which is fine. And then we look at other ways to make it work. But that also will help alleviate our costs because we could just end up basically just covering the tent and work through that. So I think there's a lot of open conversation that has to occur, and I think a lot of planning that can occur, but talking with a few of the businesses, it sounds like they're on board with helping with beer tent and food and, a lot of different things that could change for this year. And again, not that we don't want food trucks, but talking to a couple of businesses, they're like, hey, we can get the food, we can have the people. Let us make more of that money. So we'll work through that. As long as it's a win for downtown, that's all that matters in my eyes.
I would much rather see the restaurants make the money. And I don't know who I discussed with you or Angela, we could still have a cone of ice, and that's great because that's not something the restaurants can provide. Having a couple, I don't know, desserty or different things, but letting the restaurants, if they can handle that kind of volume for the weekend, I would much rather see them make the money, obviously.
And I think in the past, they didn't know really what we could deliver. 4 years ago, this was 80 cars. Now it's 400, right? So I think they said, oh, wow, look at that.
500 next year.
Yeah, 500 next year. So I think now they go, wait a minute, this is serious, right? But I know for the Jeep nights and the cruise nights, and even that weekend, we had 2 food trucks cancel on us, 2 or 3 for Heritage, at least 2.
2 canceled, and I think 1 was a no-show.
Yes.
No call, no show. Nothing.
We just had another one cancel on us for Jeep night. We lost one, so me personally, I'd rather see the businesses make the money. They're just going to have to make sure they're ready and prepared. But obviously, we're bringing the people. The last Jeep night, unfortunately, I think weather was against you.
Only good time.
Did you?
Yeah.
How many Jeeps did you have?
3.5.
Oh,
One
right.
was there,
Yeah.
Jared went to the church.
Okay.
I think they had an event going on, but
Okay.
we were out there. We had music, and the kids were playing games, and we took some chalk. So there may be a bunch of ducks on the chalk. and
Nothing
driving
wrong
it.
with
That's
that.
fine.
No.
Whatever. It's all good.
Yeah.
But other than last night, for the last few, they've all been successful.
great,
It's
yeah.
been great. So I think going into next year, now that people know we're doing this, I think you could easily get 50, 60, maybe 100 people there on a night. I don't know. It's only going to grow, especially if you have more stuff. One of the big hits of Heritage Fest was the bags tournament, the cornhole tournament. We do that on those nights. I think people would love that. So everybody loved it. They were playing, I don't know what time they finally finished. They were going
It was
forever.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of good stuff that can come for this, and it'll be good for the businesses downtown. So it's all good. Do you want to go into the other part of Heritage Festival?
Just a little side note, I think the closing for the purchaser of the theater building, medical building, maybe this week yet, next week, more than likely. It's ready.
Okay, good. And he might let us keep it there. I don't know. Who
It
knows?
This is
depends
no
how
right.
quickly he
Right.
develops the property,
Right. And we had heard he plans to put in $1 million to $1.5 million
Right.
into the two buildings. So,
Right. So we don't know that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Right now, just a lot of talk. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Do you want to update people to the letter or the meeting from today?
Yep. So do you want to talk about your letter? 'Cause you're the one that wrote
I
it, at
guess so.
least. And then I'll-
Like everything, right? There's errors that occur, and I think our group did a fantastic job at mitigating anything that could really come up, right? One of the issues that did come up, and really when I went to village council meeting, I went there to just talk about our partnership. Steve wanted me to expound on some of the problems that kind of popped up, and that was on traffic flow. We pay the village police to basically handle traffic, and that did not occur as promised. And it became a safety concern along with some other stuff. So, I said my piece about hopefully as professionally as possible. From there, we just asked to go ahead and meet to discuss what occurred, find out, what was the problem, and then what are we going to do next year to fix it? Because we're going from 400 cars potentially to 500 cars. I mean, it's shutting down. We shut down a highway, right? Van Dyke is a highway, so there's a lot to that, right? And we need that support, and we obviously want to keep that as local with the police department as possible, right? But there was a meeting that occurred today. I was not allowed to be at, I guess. Maybe, I guess Steve was there, Holly was there.
Right. Yes. So we did
go ahead.
request that our executive board be invited. And then I was invited. So I was there with Angela, Steve, Brian Treat from DPW, Kim Kiesler, Dave Trent, and Chief Andy. So first and foremost, I do want to share with the board that Andy apologized for the misunderstanding. He was of the understanding that we had 37 volunteers, and he assumed that those 37 volunteers would be manning the barricades, which is what I understood is what he thought. And we thought that it would be handled as Holly Days is handled, with the police at the north and south end of Van Dyke where it's closed. He said he does not have enough police officers on staff in a shift to cover that. Even he has 2 police officers on staff per shift, except for midnights, right? Is that what I heard?
3 on Saturday.
Okay, so, and
then
that's
the
not,
fourth
and,
one showed up at 2
right,
p.m.
and they had 7 calls from 7 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. And they were not, from us, like 7 other calls to deal with. So it's a staffing issue, but he did apologize for misunderstanding what he thought our situation was. And the suggestion is moving forward that we hire private security to handle the event because they do not have the staff to handle it. We did ask if the county would be able to staff it or even state police, and he said they do not have the resources to staff an event like that either.
Who said that?
Chief Martin.
Are
Okay.
we sure of that?
He
Let's
said-
ask
he
the
said that,
sheriff's department.
As to Almont Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, I don't think he indicated that was the case for state police.
Okay, thank
Because I
you.
don't think they're offering to cover that. And I know that, Pete had some sentiments or concepts as to whether or not the Sheriff's Department could provide additional officers. And my understanding is the sheriff's deputies, each deputy is assigned a certain area and is not available essentially to come here. And reserves potentially, but Andy's take, he said, based on my 23 years of being a police officer, they're not capable either. My department is not big enough to do it. The sheriff's department is not going to facilitate this. And it was pointed out at our meeting that that's what Romeo does for the Peach Festival. They hire private security. and it won't run into the problem we ran into here. The way he set it forth is
I
they
think,
just didn't have the capacity, and I think there wasn't sufficient exchange and communication with the police department and DDA prior to the event. It might have been clearer, and this might not have had as much discontent and safety issues if there had been more discussions before. But we were there for about an hour and a half. Holly did a good job of grilling the chief. She is no wilting lily, as I like to say. So she did raise the concerns, and she grilled him. And he answered as best he could. Yeah, he apologized, and he said, and I misunderstood what it was exactly that you wanted from us, and it appears that we misunderstood what he was capable for.
Right, and that's where I would like to say we learned our lesson a couple times as Heritage Fest. We need to get everything in writing from people that are servicing us. Andy, Angela, and I have all talked about that. It should have been in writing what APD was going to cover. And there was something else that should have been in writing. I don't remember what it was now, but we have definitely learned a lesson, and going forward, we will be getting things in writing.
And let me just point out, per my letter, and you can watch the village council meeting from September 5th, it clearly states on the record that they were doing traffic at both stops on Huff and Tub Springs. That did not occur.
Right.
So I will respectfully disagree about the communication on the DDA's end. I think we did a fine job with it. I think that it wasn't communicated correctly interdepartment.
I think the only thing we didn't do on our part that we should have done was get it in writing.
Correct. Because the statement was, we're not here to deal with your car show people. You will have somebody staged there to just direct them to the next stop while our officers handle traffic. So that's what we went on. As a matter of fact, that was even discussed at the volunteer meeting on what people could expect as we're directing these people, these kids, on what to do.
But it probably would have gone even worse if the DPW, Brian Treat, particular his fellows, had not stepped forward. They did. Basically stepped into the law enforcement officer's shoes. So thank goodness for that.
Right. So let me expound on that. I have had a conversation with a sheriff. I won't say what county, but that odds are our county can support that if we want to. I would rather keep it local. But what I was told was all we have to do is what's called write a mini contract because they are union. The big confusion is on shift versus people that want to work and make extra money. So we can write what's called a mini contract, offer them time and a half or double time. If they're not on shift, per their union contract, they should be able to work it. And that is whether it's Almont PD or going to Lapeer County. So if they're not stationed in that area, whatever, as long as they get the okay to do that. To bring in auxiliary, we're going to need at least one full-time sheriff. They always require one to have any auxiliary there. So we can't just have auxiliary. We have to have at least one here. I'd prefer not to. I'd rather deal with AD or Almont Police Department, but that's stuff we're going to have to kind of work through.
Well, at the meeting, I think it was made fairly clear that we don't have the capacity. I can't help you do this. I do not have sufficient manpower. Because we ought to believe them. You're just saying I can't. You can't. Obviously you can communicate with the Lapeer County Sheriff's Department and see if you want them. Private security works pretty well in Romeo. Romeo and other municipalities do control crowds this way with private security. And is that something that is anathema to you? Is that something that's anathema to you, using private security?
Oh, I'm not against it. I think we just need to vet out all the different options. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The hard part is again, shutting down M53, a highway, right?
Mhm.
Is even talking with Brian, and Brian was there, said, even my little green lights, they don't listen to. They only care about the red and blue ones. So it's just a private security force. They don't get to have the red and blue ones either, right?
And that was the question that was brought up today in our
Right.
meeting was, who does private security then report to?
Correct.
And my thought afterward was, if the private security has to report to the police department, why are we hiring private security? The police department should be hiring private security for us then, because they can't
Right.
staff a local event.
And if we're hiring private security, if they don't have people assigned to a shift that day, why can't we just hire them under a mini contract? What's the difference? So you guys, the village owns the cars and the building and everything, right? They're assigned to the police department, which is underneath your budget. We technically can do that, is the way it was described to me.
And Brian did a pretty fair amount of confronting Chief Martin as well.
He drove them around the Thursday before discussing every place where they were going to be, and that didn't occur either.
Mhm.
So I don't want to belabor it. I want us to move forward and fix it. But on the other end, we got to know where we're coming from to where we go and why we have the issues to go forward. And we can't have 15, 14, 12-year-olds directing traffic on M53. We just can't.
That's irresponsible.
So it really is.
Yeah.
So
And if we have to hire security of any type, we need to budget for that.
Mhm.
And there goes that profit we
Correct.
just made this year.
right, and
So,
that's why
it's,
we're gonna have to
you
vet
know,
this out earlier than later to what we do.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
planning starts today
right.
for 2024.
And I'll throw out there for those in the know, and my understanding Pete is an auxiliary sheriff, right?
It's reserved, yeah.
Reserve, right? So we need that expertise. You know what I mean? If he knows how to work that, let's figure out how to work it, right? Or how to make it work. If we have to go to that point. Again, I would rather, barring what occurred and him walking out and me talking, I don't care. I still have the utmost respect for Andy and all of his guys. Completely. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to agree with what I have to say, but I do. And I would rather, me personally, I would rather have them here paying them to police their own town than having to go outside. But we're at the point now where we need help, right? We needed help badly this year. We're going to need it more next year, at least on traffic flow.
So Angela presented the question earlier in that week. How do we get the reserves or the sheriff to help? And my understanding was we advised her, ask Andy to officially ask the county if he needed help. And he told Angela, as far as I know, that it was handled.
Correct. That is
So-
correct.
That was my understanding, that it was going to be
But
manned.
the chief said, no, I don't want to answer that.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well.
Correct.
I don't have personal knowledge, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, a lot of these issues could have been mitigated early on. Like I said, going back to it and then respectfully to disagree, I want to say that we, and especially Angela, was very, very forthcoming of what we wanted, to the point where it was discussed in the village council meeting to what was going to happen. So
Who said at the council meeting?
Councilman Ed asked where the reroute was around town and where the police are going to be stationed. And the response was they will be at
Responded.
Kim Kiesler.
I think we made it
I
clear.
haven't seen her in uniform lately.
Oh,
No,
Yeah,
Then maybe Andy should be there talking about it.
Yeah, well, Andy, well, that question asked while
but that was,
the chief was still at the meeting before.
no, he wasn't there,
started
but
out.
that was as a result of the meeting they had earlier that day. That had chief, it had the chief there, had Brian there, had Angelo there, and had Kim there.
It's communication all over the place.
Right. And it happens.
Okay.
I mean, again, it happens, but we got to vet through it because we
It
can't
can't happen
we
again.
can't let it happen again. Again, things happen. I'm fine with moving forward, but let's get it fixed and know the answer.
I definitely agree with us looking into the sheriffs. Speaking with, if we can have APD patrolling the town like they normally would on any given shift, us not having to pay those wages because they're not doing anything for us specifically for the Heritage Festival, it potentially could be cheaper just to have a couple of sheriffs in town rather than private security. My concern is the reason why we wanted the police is to have those lights and them have the authority to enforce the law. If someone's going to go around a barricade, they're going to be able to do something. What is private security going to be able to do if there's some citizen that's
Would have
like
to call
driver, like,
APD.
yeah.
So what did you see? You went to the Peach Festival. What'd you see?
I wasn't there for the car show. They didn't have any road closures when I was there
Well,
personally.
the car show is not in town either.
Right.
The
Yeah.
car show is at Blue Water Trucking.
Right, so if they
it's
hired
in their
security
field.
there, it's on a private event, that's
Yeah.
I
totally
know that
different.
there was sheriffs
And
all
their car show
throughout
is
Peach Fest. There was
peanuts
Macomb
compared
County
to ours.
sheriffs inside of the tents, like walking around. So whatever security they had that in addition to several sheriff's officers inside of the beer tent and the carnival or that area too. So I don't know. I also think that Macomb County is definitely more populated where maybe they don't, if they couldn't offer it, I would understand because it's a lot of populated areas, whereas Lapeer is more spread out. Maybe they'd have the ability to do that. We're a little bit more rural, so maybe it's at least worth looking into, like you said, and
Yep.
weighing the options between what
Yeah.
the costs are.
I did ask Angela to look into the county
Oh, yeah,
sheriffs
we-
after our meeting this
yeah.
morning. I said, we need to make that call and get the answers and what they can and cannot do for
Yeah.
us.
And I
want
can-
to know firsthand.
And I can tell you in the conversation I had, the state police does not offer that at all, so.
Okay.
They don't at all. But I think as a community event, and you want exposure and positivity and being out in the public, like DPW was there, me personally, I'd rather see APD there, if we can do it. But, I mean, I think to me, that's where you build those relationships and then people start to trust you and, oh, it's not them again, right? So being out there, and the guys that were down there were glad handing people and they were in a good time, as they should. So, but all in all, other than that, and that's a small blip on the radar, to me, it was a huge successful event. Sadly, it got elevated to this level, but
I heard nothing but positive
Oh.
feedback. The Formula One car that was there, the gentleman that brought that car came up to Angela and I mid car show and said, I just want to tell you ladies, I go to car shows, like it's my job. Like he's like, I go to car shows all the time. This is one of the best shows I have ever been to. He's like, congratulations, this is wonderful and it will only grow from here. Like Angela and I both like got choked up because we're emotional. I thought that was a big compliment from someone that literally it is their job to take that race car to car shows. Like that was big. So, and you know, all those people don't see the issue that we have to deal with. It was a huge success. I've gotten so many compliments, so many, you know, from local people that I walk past that I know personally. Oh my God, this is amazing. You guys have done such a great thing. Like it was awesome.
Social media, which is normally 99% negative,
Right.
was the opposite.
And that was, Brian pointed that out this morning. He's like, people never have anything nice to say, guys. Let's be for real. He's like, but all you hear about Heritage Fest is how stinking awesome it was. He's like, that is a win. I was like, yeah, it is. People are so negative anymore. And it's been 99% positive.
So that was a $3.1 million vehicle, and there were only two of them.
Yeah.
One was at Copo Arena and one was here.
correct.
Yeah, I mean, and Wayne Glasser is amazing.
He is. And I wanted to take a couple minutes to just talk about the car show growth really happens because of Wayne. I mean, it truly does. His networking and people helping him, of course, but his passion behind it, everything he's doing. I don't want to say it's the only reason why this has grown. Obviously, we're here to help support it, but I mean,
he is the
it's-
driving force behind the car show.
correct.
Yes.
Correct. So, you know, the goodness of the community, and he's on village council. That's what I'm saying. We need more people backing that goodness, right? And going forward, I think it's only going to be awesome, barring weather. It's only going to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pleasantly surprised with a total of 45 volunteers I mean, you got to figure going into that Monday volunteer meeting, there was 7 of us. So imagine if we only had 7. So everybody who's listening was a volunteer. Thank you. We're going to segue into that, but I mean, just huge.
Successful as this was, likely to be even better next year because of the positivity
Correct.
and the community.
Yeah.
It's just terrific.
And we're in for going back to that for Main Street. We're trying to get some impact numbers because part of Main Street is finding out, like, when you do this, what does that mean, right? What kind of revenue does it draw? So we're still working with some of the businesses to find out how they did, what's going on, so that way we can account for it. because ultimately that's why we're doing this too. So, anything else on Heritage Festival?
It's great, as far as my business was concerned.
That's what we want to hear.
And I didn't have to move it out into a tent.
Did I ever tell you I wore my license plate shirt Friday, and some guy coming into the beer tent because we were working the admission, whatever you want to call it. He's like, "Oh my God," he's like, "that shirt's so cool. Can I get one of those?" I'm like, "Yep, go to the Village Shirt Shop tomorrow." So people definitely liked it. It was fun.
And what's that phrase? Copying is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yes.
If you look at the Dryden Fall Festival, it is the mirror image of everything we've done, from their Facebook post to everything, like even from the maps we drew. And
Well, and I do believe the gentleman that is running that car show, Wayne, has been advising him.
he has been, and he
Yes.
comes to our shows. But
Yes, he does.
if you take a look at it, they're just copying the secret sauce, which is good.
Yeah.
I wish them nothing but success.
Absolutely.
But
they got Family Tradition Band coming.
they
so.
got family tradition and all that. And the hard part is, and going back to that, you brought up the cost. Family tradition's not getting any cheaper.
No,
The
it's
whole
good.
rationale of getting a better band on Friday instead of $800, $2,500, we more than doubled our Friday numbers. Right now, did
Oh,
we benefit
heck
out of
yeah.
it? Right? Did we benefit out of it? No, Lions did. But we had, that was the other benefit of.
I wish we had a count from
We-
last year.
I wish, well,
I know.
and that was the thing. That was the other good part about doing the beer entry. We
Yes.
now know exactly how many
Wow.
people, 915 other from 5 o'clock on, roll through there
And
over
it's
2
more
nights.
than that because
It
we
is.
gave all our volunteers free entry.
Correct.
The Lions, obviously, we let all of their people in for free. So it's, it's even more than that.
Right. It's over
Which is
1,000
huge.
easy.
And Friday night, because we were there staffing the table, multiple Lions Club members said to us, "We have never had this many people on a Friday night. This is crazy."
Right.
And I think Friday was 215 is what we collected for. So
Wow.
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Huge. So, cool. So thank you everybody that was involved too. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. So going back to volunteer wrap up, we are going to be doing a appreciation dinner for all the volunteers and also kind of a debrief, getting their idea of what worked, what didn't work, and hopefully signing them up for next year at the event. We're going to try to do it October 4th, 6:30. Poor Angela again is out sick. If we can get that lined up tomorrow, we'll get the information out right away. I just want to give enough people to plan. If not, we might have to push it back a week. So more to come on that.
October 4th, 6:30.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah, TBD, but that's where we got it set now. Going to fountain cover. Basically, what she's got on my notes is actually Legacy is going to be coming to take some measurements. So if you know the fountain cover right now, it's heavy, it's bulky, dangerous. It doesn't load well on a skid steer because of how it's built. Brian and his crew put a lot of effort into redoing a lot of the wood, but that wood's heavy. It's all treated lumber. So they're going to come out and look at making a skeleton for it. And then I don't know if we're going to get it wrapped or what we're going to do, but they're going to be out, believe this week or next week to start measuring up to what they could make for us. Legacy's been huge. They helped out with so many of the awards. They've done, they did the license plate for
And
us.
I believe they donated those.
And they donated
That's what I
those.
was
So
yeah, they donated those.
I talked to them a couple years ago. They're not in the DDA district, just so you know. We went over there. He wants to be in the DDA district, but he said, if I can't be, I surely want to be helpful for the community. And he has been living to his word. So just so you know. Holiday parade is the next item. Do you want to touch on that?
So, am I allowed to say this publicly? What Jim wants to do potentially? You wanna
Talk
make
through
that
the
public yet?
potentials. Yeah.
So Jim had a casual conversation with Angela and I, and it may have been in the beer tent, it may have been before, I don't remember.
Jim who?
Alec.
That he would love to see a beer to make Holiday more of a full day event, have a beer tent behind the restaurants, have a band, all the things like a mini Heritage Fest basically, and made the impression to us that he didn't see why the restaurants couldn't cover that. So Angela, again, poor sick Angela, needs to follow up with Jim on that and see if he really would like to do that. And we talked about, working off of that and closing down maybe East and West St. Clair and having another cornhole tournament in the street maybe. Probably not vendors, probably not food trucks. Again, this would be a good mini experience for the restaurants to see, if they can handle the volume for the day all on their own. But making it more of a all-day event. We did, in our meeting this morning, I did ask the police chief, I said, can you cover holiday the way you always have? He said, yes, absolutely. It is a much shorter closure, so he can fully staff that for just, a couple hours as opposed to Heritage Fest was, a 10-hour day for his guys. But he said, yes, absolutely. He can cover that properly for us still. Am I missing anything?
There is potential talk of changing the staging area to Main Street up this way instead of, so we had it last time on Centennial and it gets very, very clogged up.
Especially with the number of floats we have.
Yeah, I mean, the floats last year, we hit a record at what, 39?
You would know better.
Was it
We had
39?
over 30. It was
Yeah.
it was a little over 30, 32 maybe, but it's very tight on that street.
Correct. So the
I
thought
think we were
was,
double booked in both lanes.
The only positive thing is having the Novak's parking lot right there, where if they don't have their group together or they're still waiting on stuff, they can go in that parking lot and wait till they're ready to line up, or they have their float or whatever it might be. If we have the staging over here, I guess we could do it maybe at the school, but
correct. It would be at the
Yeah.
school where there's plenty of room there.
yeah, then that's definitely better because it's crazy.
It's a good problem to have. We keep growing things, but we keep
Yeah.
running out of room. So until we can conjure up more parking and more whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, so that's one of the thoughts. So, we're going to need everybody's help for holiday again this year.
And if you have any thoughts on other things we can add to the
Right.
day.
And again, we don't want to go too crazy with it, but it seems like people are kind of clamoring for, I want a little bit more out of it. We're not doing a 5K, are we?
I was just going to say, we did mention a winter 5K. People do like
They
winter
do like
runs.
those.
That is
When's the
historically
reindeer
one of the
run?
coldest, stinking days, though.
When's the reindeer run? I don't know that one. When is it?
Who does that?
I don't know.
I don't know of Almont having any 5Ks in the recent, since I've been running, let me put it that way, which has been, I don't know, 7, 8 years, 9 years, I don't know.
I have pictures. We did have it.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Why didn't I do
It's
it?
something we
What's wrong
could
Five
do.
years
with me?
ago, 7.
Okay.
Well, if it was
Yeah.
5, I know
So
why
I
I wasn't
don't-
running then.
I don't recall who ran it, but
Yeah.
it pretty much did. It went from the school and around St. Clair up Kidder. It went that route.
I don't
That's
know.
an option,
If you
too.
guys are interested in us having a 5K, there's no reason we can't put one together. I need to do it like now, though.
Yeah.
Bob might shoot me.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing, one of the things we learned with all that, again, next year, the golf cart raffle is going to start in
June.
June. That'll get
5K planning will start in June.
Correct.
I've already spoken Bob.
Correct. So the sooner, we talked about last year, the sooner we can get the information out and keep hammering home on it, the more we're going to get people involved. So we just got to be cautious on that. But maybe the church wants to do a pancake breakfast and then we can have something kind of going on through the day. So
Do another golf cart raffle.
not
Not
yet.
for
Not yet.
Christmas. I mean, he's got 2 that are done that if you guys want to do that, that's fine. But
But
But I am not signing up to sell those raffle tickets this soon again. I already told Matt I need a break.
I think let's let that break. Let's let that simmer for a little bit. I like your excitement though. Yeah. But all right. So basically, as we transition, we're still going to go back to meeting for Heritage Fest because we got to do that. But maybe now we can kind of run some hybrid Heritage and holiday meetings. Might make sense. All right.
Are we putting together, is it necessary to have any kind of contract or anything in writing for holiday parade with the police
I do want to
department?
get it in writing. Yeah, I made myself a note to ask Angela to get it in
Because
writing. Yeah.
obviously, if we're gonna have you're gonna need them at different areas if we do stage
Yeah,
at the high
and,
school.
and that was, and I warned Chief Martin, I said, we do intend to expand Holiday a little bit. I said, I'm not saying we're shutting Van Dyke down longer. I said, but I told him, I said, we may be adding a beer tent, which I know they'll need to police. And I said, we might close down East and West St. Clair for some cornhole or something. And he said, just keep me informed. And part of the takeaway from today was we need to have more regular meetings like that with the chief of police so he knows what we're doing and what we need from him as well. I have never sat down with our chief. Andy, have you ever sat down with him?
I've talked to him on a few things, yeah.
So, he's never come to one of our meetings and had a discussion with us, and we need to do that. We need to invite him when we need their services and, yes, discuss it more. Absolutely.
It's a little bit of a problem from the standpoint, him being able to attend evening meetings.
And that's fine. And we can,
He lives in Chelsea.
right, the
which is
executive
53
board
miles
can
away.
sit down with him
So-
during the day. That's fine.
Yeah, yes, that,
Mhm.
just for
Yeah.
practicalities.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
that's why he doesn't attend all of our council meetings.
We will make it work.
He lives 50, I can't believe he drives 53 miles one way. So 106 miles every day, so, okay.
Well, and a lot of that can handle in the department meetings or whatever else. We can
Yeah.
make it work.
Sure.
Ideally, yeah, we would love to be on the same page. So,
That would be helpful.
But yes, I do.
Plan it
want
together.
Writing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that's it on holiday parade. We didn't have anything down here for old business. There's no public to comment. Anybody have any questions or comments or any kind of future agenda items you want to talk through?
The only thing Angela didn't put on here is the skeleton decorating contest.
Okay.
And I would just make a note for Angela to remind the businesses, get everyone excited. I know some people already, Raindale's already have their giant skeleton outside. Rustic Bluebird has theirs in the window. I know Christy put up some fall stuff the other day. Just to remind everyone that we're doing that.
Same with the business trick or treating an hour early.
And merchant trick or treating, right? Just remind everyone so everyone can get prepared. But yeah. And if did we do like a prize or a vote for the skeleton last year? Or were
No.
we just decorating for fun?
It was just decoration.
Maybe we could
Getting together and
make a challenge. I don't know how we would handle voting, but it's,
well, then that falls with like the Christmas lights, the decorating, the contest there. It's like some of us can't afford a lot of lights. So,
we don't have a contest for Christmas lights, do we?
Yeah.
We do?
Talking about for the floats or for the businesses?
for the businesses,
I thought that was done by that used to be done by the chamber.
Didn't do one
Oh,
last year
maybe.
for sure.
Yeah, that's
maybe I'm
chamber.
getting confused. Yeah.
Yeah, that was chamber.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I know we
I
didn't do
don't,
that
we
last
didn't do that
year.
one. The only one that we did was on the floats.
That's all I got.
For the good of the group.
Events, maybe reaching out to the fire department. When I was there for the 5K, talking to the chief, he said that he would be more than happy to set up like a little first aid booth and they could do like blood pressure checks and stuff.
Say that. I missed that part.
Yeah, you guys were off putting signs places. Oh, the chalk.
Yes. And I should add that when we had the 5K, I did speak to, what's his name?
Smith?
Yes, thank you, Chief Smith. And he was super nice and gracious and said he loved having us there and how wonderful it was just to have people at the fire station. And I said, thank you so much for having us. And I said, and we will square up with you on the donation once we get all our numbers and everything. And he's like, I don't even care about that. He's like, I just like having people here and people, interacting with us. And, that's great for us. And that's what we need. And I'm like, well, no. I'm like, we promised that. And that was the whole premise of this. So you will get it. But I said, thanks for that. He was super nice and wonderful. So everyone there was.
It's nice having them there at the Heritage Festival because I don't remember the fire truck being there in the past necessarily. I
They
can't
weren't
remember.
there the year before. We had MedStar EMS
Yeah.
the year before. This year, thank God they were there because
Yeah.
they dealt with the guy that got stung with a bee in the tongue.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to help him on an emergency before when I worked at my old business.
Yeah.
But also, one of the firefighters won 3 of our gift baskets.
Oh,
They're
nice.
raffle. Yeah.
Awesome.
3?
Congrats.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
fantastic.
You should
That's
have played
cool.
the lottery too.
I know.
Yep.
Good.
So, yeah.
All right, anything else for the good of group before we call it a night? No?
Did we have any future agenda items?
I can't think of any right now, but we can get them out there. But I don't. Pretty much after this, we're going to be going forward with
Skeletons,
Skeletons.
trick-or-treating, and Hammer and Holly Day out, and what exactly we
Right.
need to do.
yeah.
Who is usually, I don't know if, we usually hand out prizes for the holiday parade, so probably need to start getting on top of asking for donations for that.
Yes. Yep.
Who is going to be doing that? Does Angela need help with that?
So we never had a holiday committee before. We probably need one now. Or do we just want that to
The
fall
events
to the events committee?
I think that's
Or
the.
make another subcommittee like we do for Heritage Fest?
I mean, it depends on how big it morphs into. I would make that part of events, and for right now, because the conversation on heritage, not that we don't have stuff to talk about, but to take up an hour meeting, I don't know. So why don't we talk about holiday and heritage at the same time? Is my
Okay.
2 cents.
Yeah,
For sure, let's schedule an events committee meeting then, so
Yeah.
we can start hammering our way on some of them details.
I think there's 9 prizes that are given
Is there
away.
9?
Yeah, there's 3. There's first, second, and third place, and there's 3 different categories. So I don't ever remember anybody in the past asking like how that process was done with Kim Schull. But obviously, if Angela, I know you're listening. If you need help with any of that, let me know.
We'll get it out there. And the process, we get to start from scratch and vet our own out. So.
Okay.
That was one thing I forgot I wanted to add. So we met with Angela to do her quarterly review. So the next one coming up, we're going to have to talk about dollars and cents. So, but we'll come through with what our thoughts are. But it was a very good, productive meeting. We didn't have any major feedback for her. We talked about a few things. So again, if there are concerns or positive stuff, let us know so we can address it with her. But the meeting went well. So that was in September. So, all right. That note, let's be done. 8:17. Thank you all. Are you shutting down the computer too? Or just that?